Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of the Smart Flip, the Phone Flippers podcast, where we share strategies, tips, tricks, and all sorts of other stuff to help you guys start, grow, and scale your electronics buyback business. Today, guys, it'll be just me and Matt. We don't have a guest today, but we're going to be talking about something that I think is incredibly important, especially for people that are just starting out. And that is, we're going to be talking about the difference between being a phone flipper and a buyback business owner. So, because there is a very distinct difference between the two. And some people never get to it. Some people do. Some people end up, as a phone flipper, doing like 8 to 10K profit a month on accident, without any systems. And they kind of sometimes burns things to the ground a little bit if they don't have the right systems and processes set up like a business owner should. So we'll be talking a little bit about that today.
All right.
If you are new to the podcast, welcome. I know we have a bunch of new listeners on YouTube and Spotify and Apple. Once again, really appreciate you guys. Make sure to share this show with people if you guys would. That's pretty much the only way we grow. We don't really do any paid ads for the content or anything like that. Um, and we're taking our time about out of our own businesses to do this and help you guys. But we also love doing it. So. There are resources available. If you look below the podcast, there should be an option to join a free school community. That's my community where if you join, make sure to finish the course within 5 days. If you don't, you get banned. That course has been pretty great. I got about 100 reviews now
Woo
on that
woo.
course. So people love it. It's more of a mindset shifting course, but you can also win Buyback Academy by finishing it. So make sure to check that out. Also, check out Console Kings below. Console Kings is a paid course. It is $47 a month, or there's also a one-time fee now. You guys can check that out in the description below, along with a bunch of other free resources. Make sure to check it all out. But let's kick it off today, guys. I'm not going to fill your ears with ads and stuff. So let's kick this thing off. So guys, today we're gonna be talking about the difference between someone who's just a general phone flipper and someone who actually runs a buyback business.
All right.
There's a significant difference. And this is one of the main reasons people actually come to work with me, Matt, and Aaron, is because we help people make that transition from this like side hustler phone flipper to
Yep.
somebody who actually runs a buyback business, right?
Yep.
And that's one of the key things we do because we help people flip more than phones, which is a massive part of what we do. It's a lot of the reason a lot of people work with us, is because they want to make more profit outside of just the iPhone game. So I am going to pull up a chapter from Buyback Revolution, which is the book that I have coming out very soon. So stay on the lookout for my announcement coming soon, for when we are going to launch it, because it will be soon. I know I've been saying that for a while, so we'll see. Matt knows I've been working extra hard. I usually don't spend this amount of level of time on one thing. I'm usually split up all over the place, doing a lot of different things quickly. But
But guys, the release will be sooner than the last time it was soon. So sooner.
yes, there you go. Yeah. It will be sooner than the last time that I said it was soon. So,
For sure.
all right, guys. So there is a big shift that has to happen if you ever want to like grow and scale this business. I want to highlight some of the key features that a lot of people have in this business. So the flipper versus the buyback business owner, right? And if you guys are listening on audio, there's a visual. If you want to view it on YouTube, you can do that. A flipper hustles for every deal. A buyback business owner gets deals sent to them. All right. A flipper, their income resets every week. A buyback business owner, their income stacks weekly with repeat sellers. Two very different mindsets here, right? A flipper relies on Facebook Marketplace and luck. A buyback business owner builds marketing systems that run daily. A flipper is always looking for the next flip. A buyback business owner creates consistent lead flow. A flipper wears every hat. A buyback business owner eventually starts hiring and systematizing. A flipper can't stop working or income dies. A buyback business owner builds something that runs without them. A flipper is stuck in survival mode. A buyback business owner operates like a real business. So there's two very different mindsets here, right? Um, and I can't knock the people that started off this way because I started off very similar. Is like a lot of you guys like fall into this business on accident, you know? Like, and then you realize there's a bunch of other people actually doing the same thing, and like you
Yeah.
don't realize it at first. Like you might have like needed to just sell something and you sold it quick and you were like, wow, that was fast. And then you were like, well, let me try and buy another one and sell it fast again. And this time for a profit. And that's how a lot of you probably fell into this business, or you had somebody else that was doing it. And, it doesn't matter. But everybody pretty much starts the same, where they start off where they're just hustling for every deal, right? They're always looking for the next flip.
Yep.
Especially when people go full time, they can't stop working or their income will die. Like messages will stop and phones won't get picked up, right? So there's a big mindset shift that happens, and it's usually around the $5,000 to $7,000 profit per month range, maybe even sooner, depending on your level of experience already in business. But the flipper is a grind. Like, and a lot of you guys are probably listening to this right now, and you're running it with that flipper mindset where things are just, every day is like a battle. You got to
Yeah.
go out and kill, to bring home the meat, basically, right? But like once you transition to the business owner side of things do get a lot easier. There's certain things that get harder, like managing systems and processes and things like that. But you're not like having to go out, kill the animal, get the meat anymore. It's more like the animals are coming to you, right? The phones and electronics are now coming to you, which is a big
Yeah.
difference, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Matt, do you have anything on this part?
Um, I think when you're just getting into this industry or as a reseller, lots of times you kind of get in this mode where you're trying to just qualify proof of concept. So you're just doing those basic things, or you're trying to prove to yourself that you can do it, or you're trying to just chase the challenge. But eventually all of that settles out. And then, comes the consistent problem that you're always having to face as a business owner, which is how do I get more inventory? And how you approach that question and how you solve that problem is, I think, the defining difference between these two different individuals. Because one's solving it from a systematic perspective and the other one's solving it through sheer grit, raw effort, or just pure hustle. And so, guys, that is the definitive problem that we help people solve as coaches. So that's why we're looking at this today. And you can probably answer that for yourself pretty easily if you're listening to this is how do I solve the issue of inventory? Well, if you have a system, like you don't even have to ask yourself. You already know if you do.
Yeah.
Right. And that kind of solves it right there. But that I'll kind of let that be my contribution to this portion of the conversation, guys.
Well, I think like a lot of people will say they have a quote unquote system, right?
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
like and this is something I'll ask is like, what does your system look like? I did this on a call yesterday actually with somebody who finished Buyback Academy. I was like, what does your system look like to get people to sell you devices? He's like, well, it's in my brain. I'm like, well, do you have it like written out anywhere? Is there anything you built to kind of show that? He's like, no, it's just in my brain. And I'm like, all right, well, you need to get it written down because, if it's not somewhere, it's harder for somebody else to follow, right?
Yeah.
And that's the key with systems is like you go from this side hustle mentality to like you have to write your systems out. And this is and I talk about this in this book as well. There's a lot of people go try to like hire too soon. Um, and then have like the employee build out the system. When you already have the system, you just don't have it like, documented.
Yep.
Um, and that's why I tell a lot of people is like, don't hire until like you've made at least 8 to 10 grand in profit per month, simply because you can't get to that point if you don't already have a system in place most of the time.
Pretty true.
Or you can't get to that point, let's say consistently, unless you have that stuff in place. So,
Yeah.
um, and so it goes side hustler or flipper, right? To building systems as a buyback business owner, and then you go scale, right? Which is where
Mhm.
you take the systems and deploy somebody else into those systems, whether it's a negotiator, whether it's a eBay lister or whatever,
Yeah.
can now be deployed into the system that you created and then scale it, right?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
what is scale, right? If we're, I have a definition for scale actually at the end of this book. Let me actually find it. Um, by the way, right now it's 220 pages, boys. It's a It's a lengthy book. But scaling in and of itself isn't is I think a lot of people confuse scaling with a lot of let's see, yeah, what does scaling actually mean, right? And I think this is important to define. A lot of people think that scaling means I'm doing more sales, I must be winning, right? And I think a lot of people define scaling as simply I am winning. I am doing better than most people, right? I am making more money, right? It's not always true though. I've seen businesses doing over, 100,000 a month in sales, only making $5,000 in profit. It looks like scale. A lot of businesses look like scale, right? But
Yeah.
a lot of the times it's just a high volume hamster wheel with razor thin margins and massive workload. I've
Yeah.
had people doing huge numbers who straight up tell me flat out, I had a wholesaler tell me this a few weeks ago. I wish I could do what you do. Your model is lean, simple, and actually fun.
That's wild.
You know, and he was
That's
doing,
wild.
6 figures in sales per month, but wasn't taking. I think the most he had made in a month was about 12 grand in profit.
Hmm.
So, like, I mean, it depends on what you want to do. Also, it totally depends on what you want to do. But true scaling is making more profit with less wasted time, delegating low value tasks so you can focus on high impact moves, building systems. I keep saying that over and over again. Building systems so your income doesn't depend on 16-hour days and creating more freedom and not more chaos.
Yeah.
So a lot of you guys are saying I had a guy who begged me to let him back into the school course the other day. And I was like, "Well, what are your goals?" And he's like, "Dude, I just want to build this thing out to the point where like I hire people and then it runs by itself." And I'm like, you have no idea what you're looking to get into. Like, because it doesn't happen as easy as you make it sound like. Like, no business does
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I
It's
want to be
true.
very clear about this. A lot of no businesses, there's not many businesses that you can start where you can just be like, yeah, I want to do this, hire it out, and then go live on a beach. Like that,
Hmm.
like that's an oversimplification of like what actually happens.
Right.
Usually the way it actually works is here, I'm gonna pause this on the screen sharing. But usually the way this stuff works, and this is what cultivates you into a business owner, okay?
Yeah. Yep.
You start something, you think it's gonna be easy, right? And we're gonna go the Valley of Despair way here, right? You start something.
Yeah.
You end up in the valley of despair eventually because you figure out that this thing is not what you expected. You get some losses, you get some refunds, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then and that's kind of the defining point where you have to decide, am I going to stick with this thing or am I going to give up on this thing and go do another thing like I've always done?
Hmm.
And there's where you get into like that 6 month hamster wheel where you're trying new things every 6 months. Oh, I'm going to go do credit repair for other people now. Oh, I'm going to go do drop shipping now. Oh, I'm going to do this new thing called PDF farming now.
Hmm.
Wait, PDF farming is just selling lead magnets. I just want to throw that out there. Like, there's nothing new under the sun. Like,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
ran across this quote unquote business opportunity the other day, and it was called PDF farming, and I was like, that looks interesting. Let me check it out. I opened the sales page, and
This is funny.
I looked at it and I was like, this is a lead magnet. You're selling a lead magnet. Like, why? And I just realized that they just rebranded something that's been around for like 15 years.
That's pretty
And I was
funny,
like,
man.
so, but, and that's a lot of the opportunities out there, guys. Is
Yeah,
like, even if it's not phone flipping, pick one and stick with it for
yeah.
like at least 6 months. It doesn't have to be phone flipping. I'm just saying, like, phone flipping is, in my opinion, is the most quote unquote like stable because you can, like, you're not, um, it's not like Amazon where they can just shut you down at any point. I mean, that part of like that business is like eBay can do that, but eBay isn't as likely to do it as Amazon is, right?
It's true. It's really true. Yeah.
But a lot of you guys stay in this side hustler mentality where you never really build a business out of the thing that you're trying to build. And that's kind of the whole point of this podcast is this is actually me kind of talking to my younger self, where I jumped from opportunity to opportunity to opportunity, and I never
Yeah.
really stuck with anything. And Matt knows this. I have a severe case of like the shiny object syndrome. I love trying new things, um, and I've pigeonholed myself into this game where like I started off flipping devices. I grew the flipping devices into helping people with ads, and but right now everything is still in the same like opportunity space, right? Like I haven't really gone outside of it at this point. And right now I'm flipping higher ticket devices. So it's like I'm still in the same place. I'm just doing but I chase those shiny objects. I've just found a way to make it work for me.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of you guys need to do, especially if you're entrepreneur mindset. You, what I'm really trying to say here is once again, I'm basically talking to myself at this point.
It's
Is
all good.
like stick with the thing long enough to allow the thing to work. And with that comes daily disciplines that you have to put into your life on top of
Mhm.
it. Right now I'm using the Power List by Andy Frisella. He actually launched an app for that, which has been actually great. But it's literally a list of 5 things to do every day. Like you write it out the night before, the 5 things that you're going to do the next day that helps you move the needle forward in your business for the next day. And it can be simple things, you know. It can be do 20 reach outs. It can be, and this, you guys can also find the phone flipping power list on one of the older episodes as well. It still applies to this. Um, but a lot of you guys are having trouble moving from side hustler or flipper to business owner. It's a completely different mindset. And you have to start thinking long term. Like, what do I want this business to be in 3 years? Do I want to sell this business? If I want to sell this business, like, what do I have to build to make this a sellable business?
Yeah. It's a really fair question.
So it's like you put up this big goal and then you have to backwards, walk backwards trying to figure out what are all the little steps in between that have to happen or the big mountains that have to like be climbed in between, the big mountain where you sell off the company or you fully automate phone flipping, right? Like, there's all sorts of stuff there. So a lot of people think that's what they want until you have to start paying taxes and then still like until you
Yeah.
have to, fire somebody or you have to or you make the wrong hire or
Yep.
all of this stuff. I mean, luckily I've made enough wrong hires to know how to not make a wrong hire anymore. And a lot of you guys got to go through that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to make the wrong hire to know who not to hire next.
Yeah.
Just saying. Like you're not gonna like Matt talks about base hits a lot.
Hmm.
And
I
sometimes
do.
base hits are just like it can be doing the wrong thing, but at least you're making something happen. And that's really all that matters. It's like, Matt, you call the base hits, the 50, $100 profits, the little
Yep.
ones,
Yep.
but they all add up,
They
right?
do. Yeah,
Baseball
they really
players in
do.
history, Well, what was their batting average? Like 35%, you know?
But yeah, I think the best season Tony Gwynn ever had was 380, 390. So 3 out of 10 he's hitting, and I think Ted Williams had a mythical almost 400 batting average, and that's considered legendary, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, and if you guys really think about that, like 4 out of 10, if you can get like a lot of people can't get 1 out of 100, you know, like when it comes to correct decisions or correct actions or things like that. So I think it's important to put these things in perspective for yourself.
Yeah.
Like you have to learn these things, otherwise it's gonna be difficult. I mean, it's gonna be difficult either way, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and say you guys are gonna be driving around a Lamborghini and like that's not what this is all about. Like me and Matt are here to tell you what it's actually going to take to you know make this business happen for yourself.
Yeah.
And a lot, it's not always pretty. It's not going to be, my quote unquote lifestyle is I and I wouldn't trade this for a fancy car. So I get to be home with my kids. I can do whatever I want. My wife doesn't have to work. None of that, right? Like, um, and sometimes that's more valuable than the fancy car and the flying around the country and across the world.
Oh,
Like
for sure, man. Yeah.
like figure out what you want and then retroactively think how can you get it, and then think about your business, and because your business is a machine, right? And the machine, and a lot of us forget the reason that we originally build businesses is to create more time freedom for ourselves.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
but here's another visual from the book that I think is important and it works for this talk is the flipper thinks about today. The buyback business owner thinks about the next 10 deals. The flipper makes one-time transactions. The buyback business owner builds repeatable systems that make obviously more transactions.
Yeah.
The flipper focuses on price. The buyback business owner focuses on trust and convenience. The flipper starts from zero every week. The buyback business owner has a steady pipeline of sellers. The flipper acts like a hustler. The buyback business owner presents like a professional, right? So that's important. A lot of people don't realize like the things that you have to do. And I want to throw this in here too, is here's how you show up like a business. So step one, most flippers show up in gym shorts, barely make eye contact, and shove cash in someone's hand like they're doing a drug deal, right? You know who people trust more? Professionals. Here's how you show up like one. Branded t-shirt or hoodie. Business cards. Clean, confident. Speak clearly. Thank them for meeting up. Ask if they know anyone else who's, selling phones. You're not the guy who buys phones. You're the buyer they tell their friends about,
Yeah.
right? A business owner follows up like a closer. Most flippers never send a follow-up text. They just hope sellers will magically come back. That's
Mhm.
wishful thinking. Instead, you want to send a message or two a week after and to be like, hey, just checking in. I'm buying this week again. Got any other items, or do you know anyone who's looking to sell for cash? That one message, guys, that's how number one, that's how you turn into a business. But it can also turn into 500, 1,000, or even $5,000 a month in repeat customer deals. Do this with every seller. Create a follow-up routine. Put reminders on your phone. This one move separates flippers from closers, right? And we've already talked about this one, become their personal ATM, right? So, yeah. But what I'm saying, guys, is like change your mindset. And I'm not telling you to change your mindset. I'm presenting an idea forward that basically says, actually, I want to reframe this. Matt says something to our clients that I think resonates incredibly well, and I probably need to add this to the book. Um, Treat this like it's your job. Like the money you make in your life depends. on this.
Yep.
And I think once you do that, we had a really strong mindset shift. I can't remember the exact client right now. I think it was Bryce, if I remember correctly, right, Matt? Where you told him to treat this like
Yes.
it was his job, and it totally like
Hmm.
just, totally transformed his mindset, and he just went scorched earth on the business.
He did. He made 20 grand the first 90 days of this month or this year, excuse
Yeah.
me, of 2025. Like between January and March, he did 20 G's pure profit.
So, and I
As a
think,
guy, a guy who almost quit like the year before, like took a break because it was hard.
yeah, yep. So treat it like it's your job, but it is your business, right? So, and being a business owner is much different because now you have to get meticulous with systems. You have to understand that you need to follow up with your customers. You need a CRM. You need somehow to stay in touch with your customers. And if you treat this business like it's your job, like this is the only way that you get paid, it will completely change the way that you approach it.
Yeah, really well.
So I really like that, what Matt said is just treat it like it's your job and you'll, you know, because it is.
It's true. It's very true.
Well,
And I mean, we're all working doing something or another. And I think people forget the level of discipline that if you don't have let's be real, if you're a reseller and you're going to a job and you're trying to get out of that 9 to 5 because you want to quit that job because you hate that job and you want to resell full time, there's some structure about your current job and the reason why it's consistently paying you that works that you're going to have to implement into your own business when you start it. And guys, that's all we're really saying here is like, regardless of like, you can't just think about all of the things that give you the dopamine hits or all the things that sound like the fun part of this job and negate the reality that there's a structure here that if you stop working or keeping it implemented, like it's the money will stop. And so the challenge of being your own business owner, and Chris could tell you this, Aaron could tell you this, any of our coaches and successful students could tell you this. The challenge of being a business owner is that you have to hold in limbo, like sometimes multiple things until you outsource those things or build systems that account for those things, like your schedule, like how you pay yourself, like how you market, how you advertise. Like when you're a one-man wolf pack, you're doing all those things. And you got to do all those things until you start doing them so well that you can find a way to do them and automate them. And obviously, guys, that's a lot of the sauce. Chris will tell you that's a lot of the sauce. Like that's what we teach. And so
yeah.
if that resonates, I mean, come on, guys, we'd love to teach you. It'd be great.
I heard a quote a while back. I can't remember exactly who from, but um basically what the guy said is work is what we do while we're waiting to die. And I was like, man, that's true though. Like what, and it's not work in a sense of like go to a 9 to 5, but it's just like you can be working, taking care of your kids. You can be working, we all work every day. Like that's pretty much the only thing we have to do outside of like, the leisure stuff, which in and of itself is still, work. I mean, everything we do is considered work.
Hmm.
But I was thinking about that earlier actually, and it was like I was just like everything I do is in some sort of way work on me or on something else, you know?
It's
If
true.
I'm not working, what am I doing? Right? And I mean, a lot of you guys are going to define work as like going to a job. That's not really what I'm talking about. Work is just work in general.
Hmm.
We're always doing something, whether that's working on our family, working on our education, working on the business, working on our health and, all of that stuff. Like everything is work. So it's like work is what we do while we're waiting to die. So you might as well do it well. Because at the end of the day, most people aren't going to forget you after you die anyway, So, um, I mean, The Queen died over a year ago. How often do you think about her? You know? And she was one of the most prominent figures ever.
Yeah. Our
So
memory is really short.
it really is. Like, yeah. Outside of this one moment where, you probably thought about the Queen once in the past year, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it goes with most people is um once they're gone, you don't think about them very often. So you might as well do some stuff that you like to do while you're here,
Yeah.
waiting around to die. Um, and whatever your beliefs are. But with that being said, guys, look into trying to, and I don't want this to be like me talking at you guys. Like, w work on trying to see things from a different viewpoint. Because once you change your mindset, or once you crack the mindset that you already kind of have embedded in yourself, it opens up a lot of possibilities for you to be able to add new things into the arsenal, that which is your brain, right?
Yep.
So, with that being said, guys, this has been another episode of the Smart Flip. Make sure to check all the resources below. Check out the school community. If you want to get banned, don't finish it. I do enjoy banning people. It's very fun.
So
Because it shows me the people that are action takers and the people. I was nervous about creating that community, Matt. Like, I
I
was
believe
nervous
you.
about banning people,
I
but
believe
I
you.
come to realize people love it. They love a challenge. So, um,
I get it. Yeah.
if you guys want, a rewarding course that'll help you shift the mindsets that I've been talking about here, when it comes to income and making money and just viewing things in a different view, in the way that I've learned through my life. Definitely check it out. And then you can also earn Buyback Academy, which is an over-the-shoulder course that literally shows you exactly what to do, to get started in this business. We just had somebody who's going to be joining Recelerator here pretty soon. He's already committed. He's already made $5,000 in sales, in about a month, thanks
It's
to
pretty
Buyback
dope.
Academy.
It's pretty dope.
And all of that was for free. Like, he's already committed to joining our high ticket program and coaching, but it's pretty cool to see. So hop in. Also, if you just want consoles, make sure to check out Matt's group. It's $47 a month. Very, very cheap for the knowledge that he gives in there. And
Bro, for $47 a month, we are hooking you up, folks.
for real, yeah. All right, guys. With that being said, this has been another episode of the Smart Flip. Make sure to check out all the resources below. Be on the lookout for my emails and stuff about Buyback Revolution, which is hitting the. We'll be doing a webinar here in a couple weeks, months, something like that. We'll see. You guys will see when you see. So, see you guys later. And see you guys next time.